right.
This is how we do it here, Michael.
I love it.
Just get in.
Right in.
Just get in. You don't even know when the show's going to start.
turn my
Is it starting?
This is smart. This is the way to do it.
Is the show starting or is it not? You don't know.
It feels like it is.
That's how it is when you're on YouTube, though.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Or welcome to YouTube.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We're
We're
doing it
on YouTube.
We're doing it live. Good to be with you guys on YouTube. Pastor Toby is having a great time.
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
sure.
we ain't talked to him
all week.
all week.
I haven't heard a text or anything from Pastor Toby. So Lord bless his vacation with his family.
Yes.
Chalk Knox, I'm the water boy, and we have a great guest in the studio this morning. We have Michael Seifert. Is it Seifert? Did I say it right?
You nailed it.
Wow,
I'm killing
Gabe
it.
got a name
First
right.
try.
I'm on it. I'm on it. He's the CEO of Public Square, like literally the public square of America.
Come on.
You know,
I
come on,
didn't
bring
even. Does it have a website? Public Square.
yeah.
PublicSQ.com.
There you go.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
And Public Square. So as I understand it, this company was birthed in February of 2021, around that time, 2021.
Launched in October.
Like a number of babies were born in 2020 because everyone was locked down.
Yes.
Your company was
Yes.
born out of
Only
the,
if you
out
were a
of-
Christian.
Yeah.
out of 2020.
If you're a Christian, nobody else was having babies.
no.
Secularists weren't having babies.
That's true.
They were depressed.
Well,
Christians were like,
Well, because Planned Parenthood and pot shops were still open during the lockdown.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. And so you started Public Square, and it seems to me, so I think I friended you on LinkedIn a while ago. You know how it goes. You're like best friends from then on and everything, and I don't remember anything about you and why I friended you. I'm like, oh. I think maybe one of my friends was friends with you, and I was like, invite. And so Public Square seems to me to be like this kind of freedom-loving, just basically business directory, online business directory.
Yep.
Is there also like a social media aspect to it too?
100%. So we like to word ourselves as a platform that connects all those freedom-loving people like you just mentioned. So conservative Americans largely living under a set of sort of Judeo-Christian values. They believe that the United States has been special because it protects certain liberties that were endowed by our Creator. People that view the world that way, we want to connect them with each other and then all the businesses that share their values. So it's basically a social marketplace where you can know with a blessed assurance that if you share those values, if you love our country, love our Constitution and the freedoms that it protects, you're going to spend your money at businesses that will respect and protect those same freedoms. So you're not funding your opposition.
So go ahead.
No, so, what does it take to become a business on Public Square?
Yeah.
How do you vet? And do you vet them?
Yes, we do.
You vet them. So I literally signed up before we started the show here.
And you'll notice that when you were signing up, there were 7 values that you saw, and you had to agree to respect and not spend time, money, or resources antagonistically against those 7 values. Then what happens is it gets forwarded to our team, and then our team also does a little check. So they go to your website, they make sure that from first glance, there's nothing that would say, hey, they might have lied on when they said they respect those 7. The 7 are things like, we love our country, we believe it's a net positive to the world. We believe in protecting the Constitution and the rights that it protects. We believe that we should see people and not as some sort of identity. So we're not celebrating black-owned or white-owned or women-owned or anything businesses. Instead, we are seeing people as people. We're not going to delegate, because Yelp, for example, is a great example where during the month of February, they would actually prioritize black-owned businesses over white to the point where they would give them advertising based on their skin color. And I just think that's egregious. And so
we took Chocolate Knox's picture and put it on Yelp, and so they started promoting cross politics.
But I was a white supremacist, so they didn't.
Once they learn that, they just
But it's funny that you say that, because one of the things that Martin Luther King supposedly did not want was for somebody to get in a place because of the color of their skin, but really because of the content of their character. And I would say even Frederick Douglass was the kind of person who's like, hey, you have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet if you're going to make it out here, which also is kind of an economic thing. You make a great product, and that great product then puts you in a place, meritocracy, right?
Yep.
That puts you in a place of good merit and makes you a lot of money. But if you do it because of color, then you don't get a great product. You don't get a chance to serve people, and the whole economy is ruined because of it.
Yep.
So that's a great setup. So what else? So I want to know more about these 7 things. So love your country.
Yep. You love your Constitution. You're going to protect the medical freedoms of your employees and your consumers. Meaning, in COVID, obviously, when we got this started, there was a real illuminating spotlight placed on the economy where some businesses were willing to kowtow to big government at the expense of your individual liberties.
Right.
And other businesses were willing to say, I am going to prioritize the liberties of my consumers and my employees above the pressure I may get politically.
So simple.
We want
simple.
those businesses to be celebrated, the ones that were willing to respect medical freedom and privacy. We also believe in protecting the family unit, including the lives of the unborn. So you can know that when you're shopping at Public Square businesses, you're not funding any pro-abortion causes. Because companies like Starbucks, if you're familiar with Starbucks, just in 2018, they came out and announced that they were matching employee contributions to Planned Parenthood. So not only were they themselves actually endorsing Planned Parenthood, they were encouraging and incentivizing their employees to promote Planned Parenthood with their financial dollars. So when you were spending money on a latte that's burnt because they make their espresso terribly, you were not only buying crappy coffee and sacrificing your values on the altars of convenience, you were also funding your opposition. So that's a big one for us, is the lives of the unborn and making sure that these businesses celebrate the lives of all people and the freedoms allotted to every individual in the public square, born or unborn. Also, we really encourage all of our businesses to respect and adopt a free market system of economics that prioritizes the voluntary exchange of goods and services between the consumers and the businesses they patronize, free from as much government intervention as possible. So we're asking these businesses too to not donate time, money, or resources antagonistically against the economic principles and conditions that make the public square thrive. So these values are what kind of guide our belief in this public square that essentially says that if we adopt these things and if we don't spend time, money, or resources antagonistically against them, our local communities will thrive to the utmost degree. And our dream is that if you have 100,000 public squares around the country that adopt these values and principles that are all just based on high-level principles found in the Constitution that we know came from the author of liberty, if we do this and run after these things, the entire nation will be changed. I believe that, if we want to change the world, you go home and love your family. It starts in your backyard. If you can change your street, you can change your city, you can change your county, you change your state, then you change your country. So that's what we're doing, and this platform's our tool to do it.
Do you think? Okay, so one of the things I was excited about, I think a lot of people were excited about, was the idea of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But the problem that Bitcoin has was that it was never going to replace the dollar. It's never going to. At the end of the day, that's a big problem. And if it's trying to have an alternative economy, but it doesn't work in the world that we're currently in. And the same thing that I see the same thing when it comes to this kind of alternative economy. I want to switch over. I want to use those businesses, but then they don't supply the things yet, or the people that I need. Like I need alternative Amazon.
Yep.
Like I need alternative, Netflix, and those things are starting to come. But we also, in order for them to have an alternative, they need filmmakers that are working in the worldview. So are we ready yet? I know we have to start building, but are we ready yet to switch over so that our money doesn't go to? Right now, there's only 2 other places to buy books from online. Amazon has 95% of the market cornered. Yeah, where do you go? So are we in the place yet where we can switch our money from going to secular companies into religious Christian companies that have our worldview?
Yep, great question.
That's all I come up with.
Yeah, it's good.
He's really good at that.
I'll say this: there are things that are harder than others. Obviously. We have iPhones. That's unfortunate. And if you're an Android guy,
it's even more unfortunate.
It's more unfortunate. And their companies are led by values that are just as egregious as Apple's. So, yes, there are levels to these things, and it is more difficult to get away from certain buying consumer habits than it is others. I will say this, though. Amazon just started as a book company and within 20 years emerged to the largest digital marketplace in the world. In the same way, what would happen if 30 million conservative Americans said, you know what, we are going to start the migration. We're going to start. We're going to start with our coffee dollars. We're going to start with our banking. Banking's an easy one to get away from. Everyone feels like you're only...
Where's a good Christian bank out there?
Axos Bank. AXOS Bank. They are awesome. Awesome. Go bank with Axos. They're amazing.
Simi introduce me to them.
Will do.
Okay, so what's so good about Axos? I'm sorry.
Axos is run by a guy who is a believer. His worldview is grounded in his faith, and you can tell in the principles of the company. They donate to veterans and law enforcement, and they are the bee's knees.
I've been looking for a Christian bank
Axos
for
AXOS
since we started Cross Politics. So in 2016 we started Cross Politics, and literally when Trump got elected, we started 2 months before he got elected, which is just crazy time to start a political podcast.
It's crazy time.
But then within that year, I remember talking to Knox about, man, we need to start thinking about, finding a good server company to work with, a good, Christian bank to work with. We started kind of seeing Gab, the CEO of Gab, got deplatformed, and we started seeing all these things happen. And we're like, this is weird. I feel a little crazy talking this way in 2017, but now. My Pillow guy got canceled by Minnesota Bank and Trust, all 9 accounts.
Yep.
President Trump got deplatformed off Stripe. Yep. So we're with Dime Payments. You know about Dime Payments? You know about Dime Payments? You guys are fantastic.
Yep.
So they're a Christian processing company. So we're reorganizing. Anyways,
should.
to your point.
And I think, I actually think people would be shocked if they knew how many alternatives there really were out there that not only shared your values, but actually exceeded the quality of the world. Because part of what people don't understand is that the world of corporate America has largely fallen apart in terms of quality over the last few years.
That's
Even
right.
tech, the industry we're in, Yelp hasn't written any new code in 4 years. I mean, they're basically stagnant.
Yeah, right.
And they focus more on diversity politics in their company meetings now than they do about productivity. And so we as
Yeah, there's been no
conservatives-
design
No.
improvements in Yelp. Yeah,
Nothing.
you're 100%.
And so for us, we have a real opportunity here to actually highlight the businesses that not only share your values, but actually exceed in quality than that of the world. And again, we have over 10,000 businesses on the platform, and we just launched. And these businesses are from a myriad of different industries. You could tell me basically any industry, and I can tell you your alternative.
Hey, cross-politic TV show and podcast.
Come on,
I know.
check it out in the marketplace.
So help people find the integration point. How do give them a way to get in because they
Yeah.
don't. It's like double dutch sometimes. Like, yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Give them an integration point into a Christian economy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, subtle plug here. Head to publicsq.com.
Yeah.
And there you can either use it on the website, create a free account. Only takes about 2 minutes just to be a user, get started, get
Had
your
a
toes
little
in the
too
water.
many questions from me, man.
Yeah, well, you did the business part. If you want to add your business, please do that too. It's also free, but that's a few more questions. But for the users,
download the app.
Yep,
Okay.
download the app,
Doing
or
it
you
right
can
now.
head to the website and you're going to see
Okay.
the link for the app, and you can jump in there where you're going to be exposed to a shop local option and a shop online option.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to shop local and you want to find the businesses near you, that's a great tab. If you want to shop online and find your national online database, you can do that there as well. That's the best place to start because then you can browse by industry and get a feel for what type of options there are. The neat thing then too is just start. Go to one of those businesses. Try to talk to the owner. Engage in your local economy. We've had entire towns say that they've felt the attitude of the town shift because 10 businesses joined the app and are now integrated with each other. And it's amazing how quickly you can turn a neighborhood when you move the money toward
Yeah.
the
Freedom.
direction you
Toward
want.
freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's the best place to start. Get exposed to the network, just start dabbling and make one purchase. What's really neat too is that a lot of the businesses on our platform will actually give users discounts to go shop there. So for example, there's a great polo company on the app, not polo like the sport, polo like the clothing.
Yeah.
And they're called Lion
what
and
I
Lamb Co. They make all of their products in the United States. They're trying to kind of come against the golf industry, run by great Christian guys. They make all their products in the US and they'll actually give Public Square users, which again, it's free to join, they'll give you a discount just to go shop there. And so you can find that discount on their profile within the marketplace. So there's so many options. The biggest thing for people is just be willing to jump in. Just start. Do a purchase and you're going to realize that like, okay, wow, there's my clothing option. There's my jewelry option. There's my, wow, okay, there's my my shoes option. There's my banking option. There's my accountant option.
Yeah.
And you're going to find that your entire life spending habits ends up shifting toward your values like that. So it's pretty neat.
It seems to me like a platform like this, first of all, would almost be virtually impossible to exist before 2020. You know, kind of this freedom-loving Christian
You think
business.
so? That's what I was going to ask.
I mean, it would be harder for it to get traction, that's for sure, at least.
The market is certainly
Okay.
more prevalent than ever, but
Yes.
this has been needed for a decade.
That's
I
exactly.
mean, Red Balloon never would have happened if it wasn't for 2020.
Well, even when Facebook started and MySpace started and shoot, Yahoo chats, okay? Like, I know old school. Some people don't even, but when it all started,
Napster.
Yeah.
everyone missed the economic opportunities. A lot of people say, "Oh, a new place to go preach the gospel," and it's like, yes, absolutely right. But you got 2 points to that. You have people who go down in the hole, right? They're going to the dungeon, but you got people who hold ropes for those who do. And I think of an economy, a Christian economy, is a way of holding ropes. There is a massive amount of things that people need who are going to be on the front lines, and people who serve those people are going to be on the front lines. So when we saw Yahoo chats and those things come along, we're like, wait a second, this is a form of communication. This is another stream. And if we were thinking like our old selves, we would have said, what would Gutenberg do with this?
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? And so like, what is it? So what?
Gutenberg would be flipping out right now.
Right,
He'd
but
be
I mean-
you can what? Yeah,
Right.
I post a blog post and it goes to Australia in like 10 seconds.
But so what do you think has? So right now we've had to go into a form of slavery to be able to understand that we are slaves. So what is it that was broken in us that didn't see the opportunities of business? You think, and the beauty of what was happening inside of this new technology at that time?
Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
That's really, it was really good.
He
enough.
thought of himself. That was really good.
Man,
Whoa.
This thing right here,
like,
boy. This
that was
thing.
like 11 out of 10.
Love it. You know who's really good at talking about this is Tucker Carlson. Actually, he has this real emphasis that he places on the power of the American consumer and how when the American consumer falls into apathy, the economy goes in really disastrous directions. People, I mean, obviously the affordability to live in the United States today is not at all what it was. I mean, this goes so much deeper even than a conservative progressive thing or even the value side of things. There's also just a level of quality of life we have sacrificed on the altar of cheap consumerism. We sold our country to China 2 decades ago, and that plays a role in this. You know, we've obviously offshored all of our manufacturing to countries that don't like us. I mean, there are multiple instances where our apathy and our willingness to just say, whatever's cheap, whatever's convenient, we've destroyed our country on the altars of those things. And so,
and Walmart's capitalized on that.
yes, they have. They know that about the American consumer. And so what you see companies like Amazon and Walmart and different entities that, you know, will sell you just cheap crap made from China versus telling you the true level of quality that their products might hold. You know, these companies have capitalized on consumer habits, but just as quickly as those consumer habits were developed, they can also be shifted back. So I think what COVID has done is helped people realize that, wow, the economy plays a larger role in our lives than we realize. These companies actually do have political stances, and they're now all of a sudden open about it. So we should probably use our buying power and the power of our wallets to start to make it known to the mega corporations of the world that we're not okay with the globalist mentality. We actually want to prioritize American manufacturing. We want to prioritize the values that have made this country special. You see that the hypocrisy of these companies is so blaring that consumers are starting to realize you guys don't even have any real convictions. You've just jumped on the progressive chain. You got your pride flag logo in June in the United States, but then your Saudi Arabia logo's missing the pride flag.
Yeah,
what is
right.
that? So your convictions aren't even across borders. You just do whatever is relevant to what you think is going to capitalize on market share. And so I think the biggest answer to your question is that American consumers got apathetic. We abdicated our role and believed that, you know what, is whatever's cheapest, whatever's fastest, whatever's most convenient will lead to the most success in society. And on that altar of globalization and cheap convenience, we saw a lot of what made America special, American manufacturing special, and the American marketplace special die. And so our goal is to resurrect a lot of that.
You know, so there's another part of that too, where we've kind of gotten to the place where we want everybody to make stuff for us, but we don't want to make stuff for other people.
So true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
and
true.
so how, you know, as you're looking at the landscape and you're in the industry, you're watching. You have how many companies are on
over almost 11,000.
11,000.
Yeah.
So no one has an excuse of why they haven't moved over at least half of what they do.
Yeah,
with their own. No one has. So the 11,000 companies. But is there room for more?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So so where would you?
I mean, 30 million.
So where would you? What 30 million? What?
30 million small businesses in the United States.
Okay.
So imagine how many of those are run by good, hardworking, patriotic, conservative people.
So where?
Probably 95% of them.
Because right now, as you look, David Bahnsen is going around saying, "Listen, we don't get out of this by whining and complaining about inflation. That's not the problem.
right.
Ultimately, the problem is we're not producing."
Yep.
You need production. That's how you get out of this. So when I hear something like that, I'm thinking of, I got to figure out a way to love my neighbor better by developing something for them that is good and high quality that they can use. And they can say, I need to go develop something for somebody else that's beautiful, so I can come and grab that product, right? So it's a person who is mining treasures that God has put in the world so they can love their neighbor, right? So what are some of the treasures you would say, you know what, somebody needs to, like you said, who was it? Yelp hasn't created code in 4 years. No. So where are the areas like, Christian, look, you want to make a massive spill, give 2 to 3 years at this and then watch it bloom. Where are you seeing those opportunities at right now, especially with everything going crazy with the economy financially?
Yeah, gosh, I think whoever can crack the code on increasing small business loyalty amongst consumers is going to win in the long run. So recessions, obviously, small businesses look for loyalty more than anything else. They're not trying to court a bunch of new consumers. They're trying to make sure that the ones that are loyal to them come back repeatedly. So, I mean, there's a massive industry right now in helping small businesses thrive, especially in times of economic turmoil, because there's, again, 30 million small businesses in the United States. That's a large client pool. If you can figure out how to help small businesses compete in a faster growing, technologically advancing world and give them business tools to thrive. I mean, if you're anyone that has any knowledge related to technology, go help small businesses because you're going to win in the long run. Other big industries, I think financial services is a big one. People feel like the financial service world is just so riddled with fraud and corruption that if you can be a Christian of upstanding moral moral character and can integrate yourself into the financial services world and prove that you are what you say you are, you're going to win in the long run. I think a big one is, obviously people are wanting to figure out how we can prioritize as much American manufacturing as possible. So if you can crack the code on more products being built here and materials being sourced here, you win in the long run. We were seeing a real revolt against sort of again, just offshoring everything to China. So there are ripe industries ready for Christians to jump in and say, we want to offer an alternative and something different. Again, everything from those larger scale macro environments that I mentioned, but also little things. Like I talked to my brother-in-law right now who's looking at starting a awesome Patagonia competitor because he's an outdoorsman. He's got a great eye for clothing and design, and that's an industry that needs a competitor because Patagonia is right now doing like a whole nature and pride special. And so go out, disrupt the market, create an alternative, get 5 million Patagonia wearers away from their market share, and guess what happens? Patagonia then listens and says, maybe we took a bet on a wrong horse.
Yeah. Well, it's
don't say.
It's interesting to me because I this is my quick, dirty take of what happened over the last 40 years, where conservatives went to work for other people, liberals largely. They went to work for Texas Instruments, Intel, Google, Facebook, and all that stuff, and we didn't build our own stuff. And it's not that conservatives and Christians haven't been building their own companies. There are out there. There's money out there for that. But largely what has happened is we kind of went that way. And then now we've kind of woken up and been like, oh, we aren't even welcome at Google. I've been working for this, I'm not even welcome on Facebook. And we've been suspended 4 times from YouTube in the last year. 4 times in the last 12 months.
You're speaking too much truth.
It's unbelievable. And the last time we got suspended is because we had a 23-year Colonel veteran on our show. And they suspended that show because he was just talking about his fight against his 2nd star, 3rd star, and 4-star generals against 4-star policies. And we weren't even talking about if the was bad or not. We're just talking about his force. Well, it was crazy. Anyways, and so Christian, and so I think there's a big awakening that's starting to happen. Public Square. This is why you're able to start Public Square and 10,000 businesses immediately come to you, is because I think there's a real hunger for Christians to start wanting to build their own. Building communities become a big thing again. We've been doing this in Moscow since Jim Wilson.
Yeah,
since Jim Wilson moved here in the 70s. And so I guess this is more of a comment, but there's just a real need for Christians to build. We got Canadians coming down visiting because they're wanting to build communities up in Canada.
Coming down moving. They're
not only moving, but coming through and visiting and checking out Moscow and stuff like that. And we had about 500 people. I mean, our church, we had to plant another church in the last year because we had about 500 people move to Moscow. Because and started attending our church in the last year and a half because of my arrest and because of how we handled and all that stuff. I mean, it was just incredible. I think the hunger for community out there. I just had a friend of mine, text me literally last week because he moved his family here because he found out about it because of my arrest, and then he's like, "Well, what church are they at?" And so he just moved his family here, and then he went back and visited California last week, and he texted me. He's like, "Dude, I can't tell you how much moving to Moscow has just transformed my family."
Wow.
Yeah, the community.
And he went back, but he felt going back to California and seeing where everything was at. Like I think he saw it all over again, and he's seen the growth in his family moving to a community that's loving and that's wanting to build and that's wanting to move forward and not force and require mass in church. And his family's grown because of that. So I think there's just a real hunger. But big Eva pastors like Rick Warren. Yeah. I mean, Al Mohler, Al Mohler constantly to me comes out after the fact and says, yeah, we shouldn't support CRT, or comes out, doesn't speak about women pastors at the convention, but afterwards, comes out and speaks against women pastors.
He spoke about against women pastors. Did he? Okay. This time, yeah.
But it's like, he didn't even prep. He didn't come out. He didn't teach before that. He's constantly speaking too late.
He's been at least engaging on that topic.
Maybe you're a little nicer to Al than I am now. But
at least on that one, I think that he's been pretty forthright, and he dropped a hammer on women pastors, and because that's just a bridge too far, and he knows it, right? But when you have a board that is left of you, and you are forced to hire people who are leading in critical race theory, and it doesn't look as obvious how to get out of it because you have been played by guilt because of where the history of your seminary was, and you see the way that the public institutions are going, you're bold. You know, he just wasn't bold on that moment, in that
Right.
moment. And so I do have some hope for Al,
Yeah.
but I'm looking at him sideways like, bro, the gun is pointing between you and them right now. So I don't know.
Hey, one of y'all getting shot.
You know, just you better. I'm watching him out this eye right here, just in case.
Might as well just be
But
courageous.
To be fair, he has.
Okay.
He
All
has,
right, all
but that's a bridge. That's a bridge too far for Al.
But my point is, I think there's a real hunger
There is.
for local community building,
100%.
and also a desire to start owning your own stuff instead of going to work for other
Well,
people.
I was thinking about, imagine if you would have had all these companies that are on Public Square at the beginning of the pandemic when it first started and said, we're not doing that. We'll make our own decisions about our own companies because that is a God-given right that we have, and we love our people.
Yep.
We want to serve. I mean, I can't get past economy is built from one family loving another family and making something good for them.
Amen.
And so I realized that, remember there's a bunch of videos out there that are on the airplane when the mask mandates get removed, and you see the stewardess,
Everyone's excited.
and everyone so happy and so excited that the mask mandate is over. And I didn't celebrate. I was upset that the people who were supposed to be standing between me and the federal government were cowards.
Yep.
The people who I was like, wait, why didn't you just say we're not going to do it? We're not going to do that. That's just no. You don't get to encroach on, and they didn't do that. But because I was watching them, none of them wanted to. But they didn't have a backbone to be able to do it. And so it's great to have a place like
But they don't have a community, I don't think, that would support that
that's
backbone.
the whole point. Like,
They don't realize the strength in numbers that we have.
you don't. If they were on Public Square,
They would know that.
they would have to fill out those 7 things, right? So, all right, give the website for everybody. So they know what-
PublicSQ.com.
Public
www.publicsq.com. And there you can join as a user or you can add your business.
And I just joined as a user while we were talking.
Come on.
So,
Little faster to join as a user than joining as a business. Yeah. But yeah, we'd love for you guys to join us. And from that website, then you can go to the App Store or Google Play if you'd like to download it on your device. But it's an amazing, amazing community, and we'd love to have you a part of it.
go get better products from
on.
people who don't hate you,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
move and start growing. Look what would happen in 20 years if you got, just
dream of
half,
it.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just it could change everything. All right.
Amen.
Hey, thank you for coming on Cross
Yeah,
Politics,
thanks, Michael.
brother.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what to do. Go download the app.
Yeah.
This is Cross Politics.